Hello, geographers. It is our last lesson on volcanoes today. Lesson number 5. We will need a pen and paper again. We're going to do some writing today, all about summing up all that knowledge about what volcanoes are and everything that we've learned over the last week. So our job today is we're going to be writing a report about volcanoes. Success criteria I've added in there purely because we did a lesson yesterday about using different types of punctuation. We had a practice, and today I'd really like to see some of that in action. What I have for you, and I'm showing you this at the start, this is the model text that I have written, that Mrs. Cox has helped me to write, and we've edited it together and made sure that it is up to standard. And so you can use this to magpie from to see what a good one looks like. I have also uploaded this to the website, so you can download this and have this next to you while you write your own. All the information on here I have got just from the slides that I'm about to show you, the slides that I've shown you yesterday as well. And then I've got some sources at the end that you might want to go off and have a look for to see if there's anything else interesting that you could add to your presentation. So let's have a look. I will read this to you at the end after we've gone through some of the information. In order to be able to write your report, we are looking for a report writing. We're looking at report writing. So looking at the purpose of this, we're providing factual information. Everything on here should be true or true to the point where you have researched it. Organized. It doesn't matter what order it comes in, but it must be organized so that it's easy to understand. We want to interest the reader because we want it to be purposeful. Okay, it needs to have a title that will draw in the reader, or a title that at least your reader will understand what they're about to learn about. An introductory paragraph which will set up what it is you're talking about, defining the subject matter. Clear layout sections. It's a great place to use headings and subheadings, and topic sentences, which we've just talked about. Paragraphs that open with a topic sentence that is introducing what that entire paragraph is going to be about, and I've used some of those today, so you can have a look. And maybe labeled pictures and diagrams. I have included one in mine straight from the presentation that I've used as well. And a satisfactory conclusion. Conclusions can be quite tricky. I like to keep my conclusions nice and short, so you'll see that later. Okay, the first thing I did when I was writing mine, looking at all the information and going through it quite slowly, I made a plan. I prefer to plan in a kind of box style. You might prefer a spider diagram. There are lots of different ways of planning and getting your ideas down onto the paper. So we're going to be thinking about all of the things that we've learned about volcanoes and sticking to the main bits of information that we would like our readers to know. So this is my plan. I thought in my introduction I'm going to talk about a little bit about what they are, a bit of a definition, and give me some facts on the location. I'm going to talk about the Ring of Fire there because I think that's important to my reader to know what are they and where they're mostly found. The next ones I've gone straight from information that we've had. So there was a slide about how they were formed, and I've looked at that and I have rearranged, summarized and put the information into my own words. I talked a little bit about the layers of the earth and the tectonic plates because that is important in their formation. My next main paragraph is going to be about eruptions. I said I wanted to include a diagram. I talk about why they erupt and the friction and the movement of the tectonic plates. What happens next? I'm going to use the diagram to explain, and I also love the idea of the pyroclastic flow. Although I haven't put the C on the end of my letter there. I'm going to talk about a little bit lava versus magma as well. I might include in there the types of different volcanoes, and I think in the end actually, although I planned to talk about active, dormant and extinct, I think I've included that in a different paragraph, because as this is a plan, it's just my ideas and it may change and sound differently as we write it. conclusion, I'm just going to talk about the fact that they're exciting and dangerous and a phenomenon that have helped to shape our Earth. So there we go. That's my plan all written down. Okay, the next thing I did, I went through these slides and I jotted down information that I would want to use and summarized it. So this came a little bit into the section on how volcanoes are formed, and I talked about the fact that the molten magma sits underneath the crust in the mantle, and also that the crust has vents in it, and the plates, which were important for talking about when they erupt. I use this information to talk in my introduction about the Ring of Fire. Also, this came into the introduction as well. The whole paragraph here was me looking at this information, taking it, understanding it, and reinterpreting it in my own way. I will read it to you at the end about how I did that. So all this information is here for you to use. I'm just going to flick through. I used this diagram and I talked about some of the terminology in there, and I used some of these volcano facts as well. So I'm going to flick through this now because I want to show you, read to you my model text, because you can come back and look at this. All the slides are on the website. You can go through this as slowly as you like. Okay, I've just kept it here because it's a great source of information. So I know it's hard for you to see this. I have snipped this into sections, and that is also on the website. But here we go. This is the model text of something that I'm expecting to see from you. Volcanoes. One of the most exciting yet deadly natural phenomena on Earth are volcanoes. There are over 1,500 active volcanoes on Earth. Semicolon. Some are found under the ocean and some have not even been discovered yet. Although volcanoes can be found on all continents, most are situated in an area aptly named as the Ring of Fire in the Pacific Ocean. This is where 90% of earthquakes and 75% of volcanoes occur. This location covers an enormous area between the continents of America, Oceania, and Asia. How are volcanoes formed? Underneath the Earth's crust, which is the surface that we live on, you will find layers that reach all the way to the center of the Earth. The layer known as the mantle, just underneath us, contains rock that is so hot it melts to form magma, the molten lava that escapes during a volcanic eruption. As it leaks out through volcanic eruptions and cools, it hardens and becomes igneous rock. Over time, as this continues to happen, volcanoes are created on the Earth's surface. Volcanoes can be active, meaning they could erupt any time, dormant, which means they have not erupted in a long time but still could, or extinct, where they are not expected to erupt again, usually. I have used this, an exclamation mark there, not often found in a formal piece of writing, but I wanted to emphasize the fact that they're not expected to usually, but it has happened. So it's suitable, but we do not overuse them in a formal piece of writing. It's only very rare and it must be used correctly. Okay, my next section is on volcanic eruptions. Possibly the most exciting thing to watch from a distance would be a volcanic eruption. But why does this happen? The Earth's surface is made up of a series of tectonic plates, 17 to be exact, that sometimes overlap. As the Earth moves and shifts, the plates can either converge, bump into each other, or diverge, separate. The movement creates a force called friction, which creates either a volcanic eruption or an earthquake. When a volcano erupts, magma is forced out of the magma reservoir along with ash and gas. It travels through the conduit and up through to the throat, mouth, and finally the vent. The eruption can sometimes be so powerful that ash clouds travel many kilometers away, sometimes traveling at the speed of a hurricane. This is called pyroclastic flow and is the most deadly of the volcanic activity as the gas is toxic. When magma reaches the Earth's surface through vents, it cools down to become lava. Volcanic bombs, which are larger molten rocks, can also be released with the explosive pressure. Types of volcanoes. Sorry, that's my alarm going off. I'm sure Westbury-on-Trym are quite used to that. Types of volcanoes. There are 3 different types of volcanoes: shield volcanoes, cinder cone volcanoes, and composite volcanoes, sometimes called stratovolcanoes. And notice I've used a colon there because I am listing the types of volcanoes they are, yet the first part of my sentence could stand alone, so it works well. Cinder cone volcanoes have circular vents and a single vent. So I've missed. Shield volcanoes tend to have runnier lava which travels longer distances and they do not explode. Cinder cone volcanoes have circular vents and a single vent. They also tend to have straight lines. The most deadly and dangerous of all volcanoes is the composite volcano. These volcanoes are formed by layers of volcanic rock and usually erupt in an explosive manner. Magma inside is quite sticky. It clogs the passageway and creates a buildup of pressure. This results in a violent eruption. So my conclusion now, which is short and sweet: volcanoes are fascinating as they have helped to create and shape our land on Earth over time. Volcanologists study volcanoes and are always trying to find out more about this amazing phenomenon. Would you dare to get close enough to look inside? So that's it. That is my report. It did take me about half an hour, 45 minutes to put that together, and it has been edited. So this is why you've got the whole 2 hours this morning. It's the only lesson of the day, apart from possibly listening to us read The Boy with the Bronze Axe. So we would like you to think really carefully about 2 to 3 really good paragraphs. Use this, use the information. Write it down. It would be great practice to get your handwriting and editing as you go along skills polished, and hopefully we will see some really great reports that we can post onto the website. I must say it was a really interesting thing. I've learned a lot about volcanoes as I've been teaching you throughout this topic this week. We're sticking with geography next week, but moving on to something hopefully more just as exciting. Do have a chance to have a look at the bonus lessons that Mrs. Cox and I have created for you. One of them is another piece of writing for you budding authors out there, and the other one is a little bit of fun, messy science. So do have a look at that. We had great fun putting that together, and I will see you again next week for our new geography topic. Have a really lovely weekend and well done for surviving SATS week. Bye bye.